Did you know that our government has spent over $16.8 million taxpayer dollars since October 7 on so-called social cohesion grants to officially combat racism and misinformation, with much of the funding, surprise, surprise, going directly to Islamist organisations in Australia doing the exact opposite? I bet you didn't, because the mainstream media hasn't said a word. This is insane. So earlier this month, in a Senate committee hearing, Victorian Senator James Paterson asked some basic yet critical questions that, frankly, the entire mainstream media should be asking of the Labor government about their ironically labelled social cohesion grants. Watch and share this extraordinary back and forth and check out the evidence that Senator Paterson tabled in the link below, which proves how our government's social cohesion funding is in fact funding organisations promoting the definitional opposite of social cohesion down under.
I want to ask some questions about the social cohesion funding. To date, how much money has been spent on the $25 million package? How much of that's been allocated and spent?
As at 30 September 2024, 16.84 million of that package has been committed. And then an additional 5.6 million of that package is going through a competitive grants process that is currently being assessed. 7 million of that funding was for national programs, so combating racism, Islamophobia, reducing misinformation and disinformation. $3.84 million for local social cohesion projects. $4 million for the Community Cohesion Support Program.
Was any investigation done as to whether or not any of the groups who were receiving this funding had previously engaged in any extreme or inappropriate rhetoric?
Senator, the department works with the Department of Social Services Grants Hub, and we undertake due diligence checks for all applicants and successful grantees. So standard processes in line with the Commonwealth grants guidelines and rules. So they assess business, financial and self-declared criminality checks, as well as a review of publicly available information.
Right. So, for example, if a group had posted on social media, extreme content about the 7 October attacks, would that count against them being awarded one of these grants?
Senator, the department looks at the information provided by the organisation.
Mm-hmm.
I can take on notice the full process that we undertook.
Yeah, but this is a fairly important question because part of the rationale for some of this funding was the promotion of social cohesion, and it would be deeply ironic if taxpayers' money went instead to groups who are undermining social cohesion rather than promoting social cohesion. So I'd like to know what due diligence the department or the government did to make sure that that wasn't the case, that no taxpayers' money went to organisations promoting disharmony or extremism.
We can take that on notice.
You're not able to tell me about those processes now?
I think Ms Chatterjee said she'd take it on notice, Senator.
Okay. Well, I want to give you some examples of organisations who did receive funding under these programs who have been involved in promoting extremism. One group is Sydney Community Connect Incorporated. I understand they received $110,000 under the social cohesion grants to Australian, Palestinian, Muslim and Arab community groups. They were given that funding on the 16th of May of this year. On their social media account, they have promoted extremist events, including one to be addressed by Sheikh Ibrahim Dadoon. Sheikh Dadoon, of course, is infamous because he addressed the October 8 rally in Western Sydney in 2023, where he said it was a day of pride and that he was elated and it was a day of victory and it was something to be celebrated, what had happened the day before on the 7th of October. He also addressed the rally on the anniversary of the 7th of October at Lakemba Mosque, where he repeated similar things. Another person in this event, promoted by the Sydney Community Connect group, is Ahmed Basal, who has also engaged in extreme rhetoric and anti-Semitic rhetoric. For example, on his Instagram page, he posted a photo of the Biden cabinet, and next to the names and photographs of each member of the Biden cabinet was a flag, in this case an Israeli flag, and he said in this post, "Jews make up less than 2% of the US population, but hold every senior cabinet position in the Biden administration except the Secretary of Defence." And he has some comments alongside that about how terrible it is that Jewish Zionists have taken over the US government. Is that an appropriate person to be receiving a social cohesion grant?
So, Senator, what we were looking for was organisations with track records of supporting their community, those with whom we have worked. We will take on notice the issues that you're raising today and come back to you with more detail on due diligence.
Another organisation which received funding was the Lebanese Muslim Association. They received $1.65 million on the 22nd of March of this year. They, of course, were a co-organiser of the rally on the anniversary of the 7th of October at the Lakemba Mosque, at which Sheikh Dadoun spoke, but also our visiting American friend, who subsequently had his visa cancelled after he left, also spoke, and at that rally, said that it was a day of victory and a day of celebration and other things. This is, of course, a rally on the anniversary of the largest loss of Jewish life since the Holocaust, which the Prime Minister himself said shouldn't proceed. So again, is the Lebanese Muslim Association, who's involved in promoting events like this, an appropriate recipient of a grant like that?
Well, again, I think from my perspective, and probably Ms Foster's, we'd just repeat what we said, that we'll take on notice those details. But I'd remind you that on numerous occasions, the Prime Minister, Minister Burke and other members of our government have condemned a range of hateful remarks made by a range of people concerning what's happening in the Middle East.
But you continued funding them to promote social cohesion, of course, of all things. Guys, are you paying attention yet? This Labor minister's only defence of the funding of extremists responsible for destroying social cohesion is that the government has previously condemned them. This is the precise problem with our current government. They talk out of both sides of their mouths. To the wider community, they tell us that they spend our money fighting hate and extremism. And then they go to the hate-filled extremists and give them that money to show them how much they really actually support them. It's all about getting votes from both sides, not creating genuine social cohesion. If it was about social cohesion, these Hamas supporters would be deported, not paid for their hate. Anyways, the Senator goes on giving more shocking examples from the Labor-paid social cohesion haters. Listen.
They also say on their social media, Nazism and Zionism are two sides of the same coin. Zionism is a continuation of Nazi ideology, and the Palestinians are the final victims of the Holocaust. Is that an appropriate statement for a government grant recipient?
Same answer as before.
The treasurer of this organisation posted it on Instagram. I can't repeat these words on Hansard because it would be unparliamentary, but she uses expletives about Israel. She said, "It's almost over for you all. The whole world knows. They know you're monsters," and that's putting it lightly, and includes the caption, "Israel is a terrorist state." Yeah, there's extensive commentary about this from this person about Israel of a similar nature. Again, comfortable with taxpayer money going there?
Well, again, we'll do some due diligence on that, but I'd repeat the point that no minister in this government endorses any hateful remarks made by any participant in this debate.
She also posted, this treasurer of this association also posted the Al-Qassam logo, a targeting symbol, the inverted red triangle, along with the captions, "You poked, you pushed, you prodded, you provoked, you play victim, you deserve to pay, you parasitic pariah." Pretty clearly endorsing violence and terrorism against the State of Israel. Is that an appropriate thing to post?
Same answer as before.
Okay. All right. Well, look, this keeps going on and on. What I should probably do is just provide all of this as a tabled document so that you can assess it yourself, Minister, and the government can assess whether or not they've handed out taxpayers' money for social cohesion wisely. You mentioned specifically United Muslims Australia, and you referred to my questions to you in question time about it, and I have heard from you and from others that United Muslims Australia is a constructive group, and particularly that Sheikh Shady, who runs UMA, is a constructive partner of government and the Department on National Security. But UMA continues to employ Sheikh Dadoon despite his repeated inflammatory comments, which, as you rightly point out, have been condemned by government ministers. So do you think it's appropriate that UMA continues to employ Sheikh Dadoon given his extreme comments?
Well, again, I'll take that on notice so we can do some fact-checking of all of that.
There is a ream of material about other organisations here. I'll provide it all on notice, and I just ask, Minister, for you to reflect, in light of this, whether you think the government's processes have been adequate in ensuring that taxpayers' money for social cohesion doesn't go to hate preachers or other people inciting discord in Australia.
Is that a question?
Yeah.
Well, the department has gone through with you the process that was adopted, which sounds to me like it involved close consultation with stakeholders, particularly in the Muslim community of Australia. I can only repeat what I've said. We don't endorse any of the hateful remarks that have been made by any participant in this debate. We do, however, strongly support providing funding to organisations to play a role in social cohesion, and we don't endorse some of the divisive behaviour that has gone on within this building to try to divide different groups within our community.
And there you have it. It's not the extremists' fault for spewing their hate, or Labor's fault for funding their hate in the name of social cohesion. The real problem, guys, is the divisive senators holding the government accountable for this scam. If you think it's important for the entire country to know how Labor is really spending our money on social cohesion, make sure to like, comment, but most importantly, share it far and wide, because the mainstream media, they're failing us. So it's up to you guys at home. And then be sure to check out my new fully interactive show at yeminireport.com. Unlike anything I've ever done before, you can actually join me live on air. It's so exciting. It's fun. I'm excited to spend my time with you, talking with you, not at you, hearing your opinions. And if you think I've got something wrong, debate me. yeminireport.com. Become a subscriber today. And I look forward to chatting, debating, or just chilling in the next episode. yeminireport.com.